Alright, so I'm gonna be recording my stuff for week 4, module 4, whatever you want to call it. I think we're in week 5. Module 4 questions. Question 1. After reading the various perspectives presented in this week's readings, what do you believe to be the most significant and pressing issues related to socioeconomic class? What really stood out to me was like the division between rich and poor. I never really realized that there was such a big difference. Like, it really highlights the fact that there's a big gap between the rich and the poor. And I knew that there was some gap, but once they started pulling up all the numbers and the statistics and stuff, it made me realize that there was a bigger gap than what I thought there was. So that was mostly the main perspective that I caught on from the reading. There could be more, but the only one that I could basically realize was the rich and the poor. What information was / new to you? The fact that there are 400 billionaires in the US alone and none of them are doing anything to help anyone. They're just keeping it to themselves. Granted, there's some, I'm not going to say all of them are keeping it to themselves. There are some that are donating to to organizations or something, but most of the billionaires are keeping it to themselves. And it still amazes me that we have 400 billionaires in the US, but our debt is still as high as ever, and it's just going to keep increasing. It's probably never going to go down. Some of the terms used towards or against whites. The one that kind of shocked me was the nigger lover. I never heard of that. I've heard of white trash, but I've never heard of nigger lover, and it kind of amazes me that people would come up with that slang just because you want to help someone, and you would just, of a different race, you would help someone with a different race, and you would come up with that because you realize that there's a problem, and then the other people decide to call you that. Obviously, they realize that there's not a freaking problem. Sorry for my language. There's not a problem, even though there is, so they're blinded by the problem. And so they blind it by calling other people names. Some of these slangs had just amazed me. This one was one of them. I don't fathom it. Another one was all of the statistics throughout the article. It talks about, I don't remember what page it was, and I have too many things open at once. I have my notes and my camera and then my phone for the questions. But one of the pages in the article shows a statistic between the different races and the wages. So that one really shocked me. I didn't realize that there were so many countries or races that were getting paid less than we do. I didn't realize that, and that really shocked me. That was one of the statistics that actually shocked me, was that sometimes they get paid less because of their race. And sorry for my coughing and sniffling, I'm getting sick. What is your lived experience of class, and how does it resonate and or differ from the perspective offered by this week's readings? Cite the text, cite your response, obviously. So I identify as middle class. I'm not rich, but I'm not also poor. I'm in the middle. I have opportunities that some don't, but I also am aware that I don't have opportunities that other people also have. But I'm also aware of it. I don't flaunt it. I don't flaunt that, oh, you're poor, so I have more money than you, even though I'm middle class. Or I don't get upset that other people have more money than me. I'm happy where I'm at. I don't feel that I'm struggling, but I also don't feel like I have too much money. Like, but to be honest, no one can have too much money. Side note. But I mean, I don't know. That's just my life experience. Like, I'm living it. That's about it. I just accept it. Like, I don't know. I didn't really know how to answer this one. Probably because my mind's not working because I'm sick. Was there anything else that I mentioned? Oh, no. Okay, so question 2. Hold on. Discuss the similarities and differences between racism and classism. So racism is the process of which oneself is connected into a group through their physical appearance, culture, or religion. This defines a specific group from others, making them have disadvantages. This is from page 2 from last week's reading. I just used my definition from my response paper. Excuse me. Classism is the organization of classes and the interactions. So the differences is racism has to do with like the physical appearance, and classism has to do with like rich, poor, middle, like things like that. The similarities is that you can have the same, and like you can have a black rich person, you can have a Mexican rich person, like you can, like they intersect with one another, but they also define specific groups. Even though, yeah, they separate from different groups. Is basically what I got out of it for the similarities. Overlappage when a particular. I haven't. Oh. Where do these issues overlap? So they overlap when a particular person is of another race and class, and you're using that against them. Where do they diverge? I mean, diverge and overlap are kind of the same. At least if my brain's working properly, I believe that the overlap and diverge are the same. If my brain's not working properly, then I'm very sorry. And I'm probably going to get a lot of comments about that if my brain is not working properly. But I'm pretty sure diverge and overlap are the same. How do concepts presented in the readings from week 1 and 2 work in each ism? If you have a personal experience of each, weave it into your response. So, I mean, the only thing that I can think that my brain thought of was the stereotyping. Like, you can have different stereotypes for classism and racism. Like, it goes into each ism. Like, stereotyping is one of the big ones that I thought of. Like, I can't think of an example. I'll come back to that. I might think of an example by then. Question 3. In what ways can we use our understanding of racism or racial issues to better understand classism and class-based issues? We can start by putting aside... See, I put and prejudices instead of our prejudices. Oh my gosh. Okay. We can start by putting aside our prejudices. If I'm saying that right, I'm very sorry. Beliefs or morals, and treat everyone equally like human beings rather than one is better than the other. So basically what I mean by that is put aside everything that you've been taught, put aside everything that you believe in, any religion or anything, and just treat everyone equally. Every person is 99% of the same. Like, you were only 1% less than each other. So in reality, just put aside every stereotype, put aside everything. Like, just put aside everything, treat others the way that you would want to be treated. Do you feel like you want to be treated like you're poor? No. Not everyone wants to be treated like that. Then don't treat everyone like that. I mean, think before you speak is what my dad always taught me. If you don't want to hear it come out of your mouth and you don't want to hear it come out of someone else's mouth, don't say it. That's what I was told. So, I mean, I think everyone just needs to live by that. And if you don't want to hear, like, for an example, like I was called fat in high school. If you don't want to be called fat, then why are you calling other people fat? Like, I mean, it's a horrible example, but it's also an example. I'm just saying, like, just put aside everything and just treat everyone with respect and dignity that they deserve. I mean, they pay taxes just like you do. Just saying. Well, not everyone pays taxes. That was a horrible. Ignore that last comment. Does one diminish the other? I would like to say that one racer class doesn't diminish the other, but in reality, you can see it happen, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it happen. I just can't think of anything for an example, but I would like to say we don't diminish another racer class, but we do diminish a racer class very often, and it's very, now that I'm actually taking this course and like reading about it and learning about it, now I understand it more than I did before. Does one enhance the other? I mean, in some ways, we can enhance each other. I'd like to, like, each ism. Sorry. The only example that I thought of, and it's a very horrible example, is like when it comes to voting. Like, each of the people that are running for elections, they would like talk about a specific problem that relates to a specific race or class, and they would try to get all that class or race's votes so that they can one up their opponent. Like, that's the only thing that I can think of. So we're using our privileges or stuff to enhance the way that they're voting, basically, is what I thought of. And if I look back at this later in the week when my brain's actually working back, and I'll probably put more stuff in the replies. I probably did horrible this week, and I'm very sorry. But I don't know. I couldn't think today. I'm surprised I came up with all of this. Back to the diverging. Yeah, I still can't think of anything. I don't know. My brain's not working. Hopefully, it works soon. Because this is ridiculous. Alright, well, I tried this week. A lot of you are probably going to leave me some harsh comments. I will take it, and I will try and do better, and I will respond the best of my ability, because I did so horribly this week, and I'm very sorry. But that's all I have right now. Goodbye.